Hi, this is a starter class about creating a safeguarding culture in your organisation. My name's Debbie Innes-Turnill, and I am a safeguarding consultant working with schools, charities, religious and sporting organisations. I have got 30 years as a teacher. I've got a master's in child protection studies, and I also lecture part-time in child protection studies at the University of Birmingham. When it comes to safeguarding culture, there isn't a specific definition. It's mentioned in a number of documents, including Working Together to Safeguard Children, including serious case reviews or case reviews for people who have experienced significant harm. And it's also mentioned in Keeping Children Safe in Education. There are here some ideas as to what safeguarding culture might be. It could be embedding safeguarding into everything that your organisation does. But how do you evidence that? How does that happen? It needs to be an integral part of everything you do at every level. And again, how do you evidence that? How do you make sure that that's happening? It's about protecting people from abuse, but it's also about improving their welfare and improving the welfare of everybody in the organisation, not just those who are vulnerable. So there really needs to be a strategic approach to what the safeguarding culture is. And I always recommend to my clients that they start with a conversation with staff that says, what is our current safeguarding culture? If I was to ask you, what does safeguarding culture look like in our organisation? Sometimes it's useful to give them these sorts of definitions to start thinking about where you are and what it is that you do. That means that children, young people, adults who are vulnerable are protected, but also what it is that you do that enables your staff to do that. Once you've had that conversation, you can then start to think about what that means in terms of practice. What do you actually do? And that's about building that secure culture, starting with policy and procedure. Those are your foundations and walls, if you like. If you think of the organisation as a building, your foundation and the walls are the policy and procedure that you would have. Does everybody know what the policy is? Is it a massive document that is too big for anybody to get their heads around? What other policies, apart from a safeguarding policy, do you have that guides this safeguarding culture? What procedures do people have to follow if something happens, if they're concerned about somebody or if they're concerned about behaviours? Those things are an unequivocal must for every organisation. You then add to that the fact that inside that building are the relationships and communication between staff members and the vulnerable people in your organisation, be that children, young people, adults. Those relationships and the communication between people is absolutely vital. You will not have a safe culture where people can't talk to each other. You will not have a safe culture if relationships are fractured and broken. So those things are something that needs to be built into your strategic development of what is our safeguarding culture. And if you're going to sit staff down and say, so what is it that we do already? It's really useful to say to them, be honest. What are relationships like? What is communication like? What can we do to improve these? That will give you your culture and then your next actions in terms of what you are going to build. You need to put people at the heart of everything you do. Staff, children, adults, families, communities, the board members, the cleaners, everybody needs to be at the heart of what you are doing. And then you need to include safeguarding in absolutely everything. If you are putting together a plan for building development, safeguarding needs to be a part of that. If you're holding an event, safeguarding needs to be a part of that. If you are planning to post a social media post, safeguarding needs to be part of that. If you can start to build safeguarding into everything that's happening and everybody understands what that is in your organisation, then you really will begin to be embedding that safeguarding culture that ensures that everybody is kept safe. And just remember, there needs to be that emotional safety for staff so that they can say, this isn't working, and therefore improve what's going on. But there also needs to be that emotional safety for staff to say, this went wrong, or we assessed the risks and we thought we had enough risk mitigation in process, but still something happened. That's okay. You can never fully mitigate for every safeguarding risk. Bad people will do bad things. What you need to make sure is that staff understand their roles and their responsibilities and how they can say it didn't work, or what can we do better next time. And that probably comes back to having those reflective conversations in something like supervision or reflective practice conversations, or even restorative type conversations that enable people to say, hands up, this didn't quite go as well as it could be, but we did consider safeguarding right from the start. In terms of what you need to do with your organisation, you need to do an audit. That starts with talking to staff, that starts with talking to your children, your young people, your vulnerable adults, and saying, what does it feel like here? It's also looking at your policies, your procedures, what practice in place. Do you adhere to all the legislation, all the guidance? Coming from that, you'll be able to sort of develop an action plan that says this is what we need to do to make things better, to really embed the culture or really establish the culture. You need to upskill your staff. You may even need to upskill the people in your school or charity or sporting organisation or religious organisation in order that everybody knows what is happening in terms of safeguarding. You then implement it, you monitor it, you review, you audit, and round we go again. Because what we all know is that safeguarding is never finished, it's never done, it's never put in a box and put away, because it informs everything. So that's a very quick whistle-stop tour through what my views are on how you develop and build a safeguarding culture. What you need to think about now is, have you got enough information to go away and start that process in school? Or do you need to think about it a little bit more deeply? If you do, I offer a full course on my website that you can subscribe to, and then you can come and have those conversations either in person or online with me, where you can really think about what you need to do in order to develop your organisation's safeguarding culture. Hope this has been helpful. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Things will be updated and posted to that on a regular basis. And thank you very much for your time.